One summer, I rented IBM Selectric typewriter, electric typewriter, for the summer. I was intent on writing the great Canadian novel. I got up to about page 80 and then just ran out of steam. I didn't know where the plot line was taking me, so I gave it up. But I still had some weeks to go on the rental of the typewriter. So I started doing stupid stuff like this, uh, trying to convey jokes using letters printed off on the electric typewriter. So here you see uh, one guy down in the bottom right-hand corner. His initials are FBI. Everybody else in the room is KKK, and the caption is, "Charlie, do you have the feeling one of us is different?" This is a plus sign and an asterisk having a conversation about the figure 8. This is a hash mark and a percentage sign talking about a plus sign and a minus sign. The observation is, somehow I don't think they'll get along. An open parentheses symbol and a question mark talking about a forward slash. Here is an equal sign and an at sign talking about a shepherd of P's and Q's. This is a fraction and a plus sign talking about a string of percentage signs. I wonder if I had that right, or did I mean to say they're septuplets? 2 semicolons speaking about a colon. First term, grade 13 report card. I'm a dog in biology, and the comment is unsatisfactory effort. Thank God I ditched French. Grade 13, second term. No, final term. Dogged art. There's an explanation behind that. We were told you didn't have to attend class until the teacher decided it was time to attend class because nobody was showing up with the first policy. And if you didn't show up, if you missed 3 classes, he'd knock 10% off your grade. So that's how I got to from 86 in semester 1 down to 54 in my final grade. Mathematics A, I have no clue why I dogged that one. This is my spring first year university report card, straight B's, so that was good. This is my spring second year university report card, more or less mediocre, except for computer science. I got a D plus in my final grade. There's an absurd story behind that. At the time, I had my high school girlfriend was in my computer science class. She didn't have a clue how to deal with computer science, and at the first exam, I allowed her to look over my shoulder and copy the answers on my exam into her exam. She did this by sitting a row above me in the exam room. The computer science professor remarkably identified that 2 examination papers resulted in exactly the same number of correct answers and incorrect answers. It was an objective test, check the boxes kind of thing. And this resulted in him calling my girlfriend in before me, asking her how this could have happened, and she denying any wrongdoing, and then calling me in, putting the same question to me on the basis of, did you cheat? And I was allowed to say no without lying because I didn't cheat. I aided and abetted cheating. In any event, he bought into the girlfriend's story and not into mine. and I got a very poor result. As I recall, I got like a 52 or something on the result, and she got like a 78. In any event, the end of the computer science course was a big project. You had to choose between three scenarios, and you had to put a computer program together that answered the question for each scenario, whichever one you chose. This could be done collaborating with other students, or you could do it on your own. Because of my experience with the previous exam, I decided to do it on my own. And I chose one topic of the three, did research down at the computer science library at U of T on College Street, figured out how to structure a program that would achieve the correct result, and then started to program it. We used Fortran. At York University, there was a terminal that connected with a mainframe computer in Montreal at McGill, and that was how you would run your programs. In order to run a program, you had to punch computer cards, paper cards about the size of an airline ticket back in the day. Punch out your program, run it through the terminal, run it through the mainframe, you get your result back. Inevitably, there were punching errors. My girlfriend had no idea what to do with the final project. She was imploring me to let her be a collaborator on mine, but I was leery, but then I thought, what the heck? And her job was punching out the cards that ran the program I designed. I got a D in my final grade in computer science. She got a B. I had a meeting with the dean of the computer science staff and said this is bullshit and so forth. And the mark was raised to a D+. As a result of that, my girlfriend got into honors business administration after second year. I was denied that opportunity and was so pissed off, I went to law school. So this letter confirms that after due consideration and investigation, the Sherlock Holmeses at York University raised my computer science mark to D+ rather than D. When I was in undergrad, I lived at an apartment my family had at on Warrender Avenue in Etobicoke. That's at the southwest corner of Kipling and Eglinton Avenue. It's a long drive to York University. At the time, I had a Volkswagen. You get up there, you need to park. Unfortunately, parking costs money up there in that day. I forged a parking decal and stuck it in the window of my Volkswagen, and an alert security guard spotted the fraud, and I was charged $5 for illegal reproduction of a decal. So these are my final marks in third year undergrad, leading to a Bachelor of Arts degree. It was a B average overall. Back in first year university, I took a psychology course, and amongst other things, the professor was beefing up his own academic credentials, and he had us all complete an objective test of some sort that was intended to determine our aptitude for particular professions. You can't tell from this; it's very difficult to read these things, but somewhere on here, law is shown as a profession or an occupation, whatever. And my rating on that was pretty close to 100%. I used this in my application after third year, or in third year university, applying for law school after third year as a consideration in granting me the invitation to join a law school. These are my spring 1973 law school grades. generally nothing to remark on. The overall average is C, but you'll see in criminal law, I got a D. Interesting story behind that. At the time, I had a on-call job as a substitute teacher for school boards in the Toronto area. So they'd call you up in the morning at like 6:30 to say, can you show up at this particular school? I always scooped up those opportunities because as students have for generations been short of money, and it paid really well. Like back in the day, you'd be paid something in the order of $150, $175 for a day, which was great money. Unfortunately, that meant I had to miss some classes. And with criminal law, it meant I missed a class where we received a whole new paper on a particular aspect of the law. I was working with the course materials curriculum that was provided to us at the beginning of the course. Anyway, when we showed up for our final exams, I started chatting with my fellow students, and they started talking about drunkenness as a defense, which was not in our original materials, and I found out there was this new paper. I went down to the bookstore, bought the paper, and then started reading it before the exam. Well, guess what? The final exam consisted of 3 questions, one of which was on drunkenness as a defense. So I'm sitting there writing this exam, reading the paper, trying to figure out what the hell the answer is. Anyway, I got a D. These are my final law school marks in the spring of 1975. Nothing to write home about, but my overall average was a B. And that led to my Bachelor of Laws degree, subsequently converted into Juris Doctor.